Hello and welcome back. Now, today I want to talk to you about soul contracts. Don't mind my tongue-in-cheek title, Shall I Be Mother? Because that's kind of how it works. You know, down on earth we take ourselves so terribly seriously all the time. We're always, you know, when it comes to spiritual matters, you think it has to be a very heavy business, and it really doesn't. The spirit world um, love to enjoy life, and they have a wonderful sense of humour, and there should be a lot of joy in your life, a lot of light-heartedness in your life. It's not all about book study and if it feels good I'm not allowed to do it. That's just the opposite of what's true. If it feels good, you should do more of it, as long as it's harming no one else. So the way it works is, before a soul comes down onto the earth, there's an awful lot of planning, a lot of meetings and things, and they work with people from their soul group that they have incarnated with many times, and they choose a focal point for that life, what it is they want to deal with. Do they want to process old karma? Do they want to experience something, a new situation for them? Do they want to assist another soul? Because many souls come down in an assisting capacity and not, to be center stage of this big production. Someone might be coming down to try, to be a disabled person, to experience having a disability. And other souls who are very close to them in the spirit world, where there's a strong love bond, they will come down to assist them in this life and to help them navigate through all the challenges that come, and to be a steadying sort of glue for them in their lives. You can also have situations where, as a human, in a certain life scenario, someone will do wrong to another person, and they want to make good on that. They want to rebalance that, so they need a role where they can do some good for a person in their life. So you'll have a mixture of people in your lives, those who are very tight, like not twin souls, but I think soul groups. It's rare to meet a twin soul. It does happen, but it's not as common as people think. I think that there's a soul group of about 2,000 souls, who all come down, and they explore different topics and scenarios as a group in different aspects. It takes a really long time to do. I look around a lot of my friends and family, and I see echoes of my own life in how their lives are playing out. There may be divorce, there may be being a single parent, there could be abuse, and situations like that. There can be poverty. So, if you were wanting to explore a situation like that from many angles, and trying many ways of dealing with it, then what better way to do it? All these different souls come down, and this one will try it this way, and this one will try this approach, and some will go early and some will stay longer, and some will treat the children this way and some will treat the children that way, and they all play out all these different scenarios around the similar theme. And then when we all pass over, we get together, and it's sort of downloaded into the Akashic records, and everyone benefits from the other people's experiences, and it becomes this body of knowledge that you really know it inside out and back to front and upside down. So that's how soul groups work. Before you come down, you all agree what different parts you're going to play. I'd say that it's a given that many of the important people in your life at the moment, you have lived many lifetimes before, and you're working out stuff, you're balancing stuff, you have a strong connection with them, whether good or bad. Some people in your life you feel a strong aversion to. I've met a few like that, where I've really not taken to them, and I have tried very hard to push past that with people, and to to, you know, connect with them and build a good loving relationship, but I've been unable to, and I'm convinced that that's because these people were down trying to correct karma and maybe never quite pulled it off. But you do take an instant dislike to some people, and you know, I wouldn't question it too much. I think it's because they're in your life for some sort of balancing of old karma one way or the other. There's a point to them being there in your life. Hope you're not hearing my washing machine too much. It's chosen this moment to go into full spin for about half an hour. We'll muddle past that. It's just life. So they might be down here to negate negative karma from a previous existence, or something they owe you. They've come to help you in some way, give you, you know, teach you a certain lesson. Sometimes people in your life that you have the most anger with and, you know, feel have let you down the most are actually, you know, closest to you in the spirit world. They are you have a very tight bond, and you trust them to come down and play that role out for you and not weaken, so that you can learn, you know, aspects of your own nature. I have been strengthened by the people who have brought the most adversity to my life. They have strengthened me more than people who just, you know, accepted everything about me and loved me as I am. That doesn't really build character. You know, kind of, you know, it doesn't have the same result. When people come down and challenge you, and you have to dig deep and find resources within yourself, then that will leave you altered and stronger and with more wisdom of the world. So the people, Wayne Dyer, he does that. I think he has a book out in it, I forget the name. His father was what we would call, you know, not a very nice person. He was an alcoholic. He disappeared off when Wayne Dyer was just a little baby, and he was raised by his mother. They had a lot of poverty. It was all very sad. And when Wayne Dyer got to be an older person, he went off in search of his father. He wanted to, you know, have it out with him, and he eventually tracked him down. And unfortunately, his father had passed away. So he stood by his father's graveside, and he was initially, you know, telling him off and venting all his anger about where was he and what kind of person he thought he was. And then a kind of spiritual clarity came to him in his venting away at his father. He saw that because his father had been that type of person, as a young man, he had sworn to be a different type of person. It had triggered in him a strength of character and a determination to be a good father and a good husband and a good man. And it had been a direct consequence, I'm sorry, it's finding it hard to talk, beautiful energy here, of the way his father had behaved. It had triggered like dominoes, you know, cascading down. It had triggered in Wayne Dyer this passion, this determination to make something of his life and to help other people to overcome the situation, which he did beautifully. He's gone on to touch the lives of millions of people, and produce a body of work which he could be very proud of. And it possibly wouldn't have happened that way had his father been a lovely person and just, you know, he'd just been content to live a quiet life and, you know, being a down-to-earth human. You know, he needed a bad guy in his life early on to trigger in him the changes that he made, and to set him off on a certain path which he followed, fueled by his anger at his father and his determination to not be like his father. And I can relate to different things like that. Be careful how I say things. Certain people in my life triggered in me a desire to not be like that when I was, you know, an adult, to go down a different path. Some people I know, they didn't respond very well to alcohol. They were a beautiful, beautiful person when sober, but if they had anything to drink, they became obnoxious and rude, insulting, nasty. And, as a child looking in on family members like that, I kind of vowed to myself that I wasn't going to drink. And I think that that part of it possibly was part of my life plan, that I wasn't going to drink alcohol, because in my last life or some previous life I'd really become a terrible drunk and they wanted to make sure that I didn't touch drink in this life, so I haven't ever really been drawn to drink in this life. And it was because for my soul, looking upon this person that I loved and how they were altered by it. I was also the same with cigarettes. I lived my whole life listening to my father mainly with the smoker's cough every morning, everything smelling of smoke, terrible, lung issues in later life. And again, as a young person, when you maybe would have started smoking, it was all very fashionable. I thought, no, I'm not going to smoke, because I didn't want to ever be that person coughing for half an hour every morning, struggling to breathe. So, that's just a couple of examples how people might affect you. Other things are, when people treat you badly, you might respond and think, I'm going to be treating someone else kindly. It does. It's like ricochets off, in your life, and your behaviours are altered by the behaviour of those people, those souls in your life. There's a lot of souls down on the earth. I think Dolores Cannon calls them back soul people or something like that, background people, and they're not really fully fleshed out souls. If you go to like a football match or some sort of concert or something, and there's thousands of people there, from your perspective, those people aren't all as present as you are. There are souls that just come and occupy that energy. And in the same way in movies, where they maybe film 100 people and then they clone them across the set, and it looks like there are thousands. It's a little bit like that. There's the further away from you, it's all a bit fuzzy. If you can imagine in a computer program, when you get up near the edge of the landscape that's been programmed in, it all goes a bit pixelated and you can't quite go through it. Well, the further away you are from people, then that's all that the energy is required. It's something. It's like it doesn't really exist. All that exists in your world at this very minute, is you and the people in the room with you. If you walk outside, it's like those people disappear almost, or they downshift. And when you look out into crowded areas, a lot of those people they're not really fully there. It's like they're being used to their background people. Dolores Cannon, she said she could spot them. She could look around a crowded place and see which souls were actually there and which weren't. So I expect their auras would be different and things like that. They wouldn't have the same vibrancy, they wouldn't give off the same light. Anyway, that's a wee bit down the rabbit hole for you there. So you make agreements with all these different souls before you come down and you land, and there's a plan for each of you for what you're supposed to do. I was told by someone that I was the glue in this family, that we were all here for one certain child, and all the rest of us were almost in supporting roles around that child. I don't know if that was true. I've just been told that. It won't affect how I live my life, because I've got my own desires for how I wish to proceed, and I'm not going to sort of just sit on the sidelines of this life. I'll do everything I can while I'm down here, but I could be the glue for that child. So your role is to it can be that people choose, as I've said in other videos, to die at a certain point. And I have heard that we are all given a number of exit clauses in our life plan, and there have been people close to me who I feel have almost died at certain points on their life, and they determined that they didn't want to die at that point, and they fought through and had big surgeries and painful operations and whatnot, and they rebuilt themselves back up and then went on to, you know, have other things take place again. I myself have felt that I've had a number of options to die. I do feel, you know, in the last few years there have been times when I have felt much closer to death. I've been afraid that I was going to die, and I got very feisty about it, and I got kind of cross and said I really don't want to die. I want to be here for my children until I can be sure that they're all safe and well and protected to the best of my ability. I believe that I have come through a number of exit clauses, and I have pushed on to, you know, the later chapters of my life, and that there's more you can do, but there's also exit clauses, and people do also have like a final, you know, people, your soul knows when and how you're supposed to die. Your spirit guide, your main one, is navigating you along, you know, but your conscious, the human part of you doesn't know and will never know until it happens. But your soul has already agreed it. It's written down on that life plan, and sometimes it's necessary for some people to die earlier than you might have liked, because it triggers certain behaviours and changes in those around them in the family, and it alters their life path at that point, pushing them on to do different things. So it's all very complicated. It's massively complicated, but it is all actually worked out fairly to the letter. I once knew someone who'd gone on had an ayahuasca experience, and in that experience they had visited all the variations of their life from birth to death in this existence, all the parallel lives. It's like in that instant when they were, you know, under the influence of the herb, they had experienced all the different parallel lives in that timeless place where there is no now, and in each lifetime they had ended up in the same, they all ended the same way. They took many different paths, but they all ended in the same way, which would be quite, I don't think I'd like to know how my life ends or all the different choices I have along the way. I think that would be most uncomfortable, to have to think about that. But it's, you know, it's intriguing. It's an intriguing way to look at it. You know, the start of your journey, who your parents are, and how you arrive, and, you know, what nationality you are, how rich or poor you are, what gifts you bring, you know, if you're super clever or struggling with a low IQ, if you have any disabilities, if you're a man or a woman, if you have gender, you know, confusion. All of these things are chosen. You choose to experience them because you want to experience everything, and it's all good to the soul. As they say, it's all grist to the mill. The soul doesn't view challenges in life the way we do. It really likes them. It likes to get in and feel things powerfully, good or bad. It's like mining gold to the soul. So with that, I'll leave you with that, and I hope that's just given you some food for thought about the circumstances of your life, the people, you know, who are closest to you in your life at the moment, and how they may have been in other past lives with you, and how you may have had an instant recognition with certain souls. It's all very poetic and beautiful, and I am looking forward to getting to the other side and getting that clarity and seeing if I hit my marks, and achieved all the things I wanted to do in this life. It's very intriguing. Okay, I hope that you found that interesting. I'll send you much love, many blessings. I'll speak to you again soon. God bless.